Hello again, it's Garson, and I have something fun to share. It's not ridiculously powerful, but man is it not fun. So, we're pretty big, we're gonna get only bigger, and we are a big, gigantic, colossal, arcane archer. And why would we do this? You need to stop asking such logical questions. There we go. Just blow them up. Just blow them up. Now, add your fire damage to your bow, because of course you can. Why did I never think of this? Thanks, chat. Alright, then we're gonna get some more attacks, and then we're just gonna blow up everybody with a piercing shot. Whoa, man! That's right. Why are we doing this? Who knows? Because it's cool. Duh. So, without further ado, let's get into it. I'm going to rewind. This is going to be a nice, short, and sweet one where I answer your questions and we go over how to make a big archer with the new subclass, Path of the Giants and Arcane Archer. Alright, so obviously a big thank you to you guys. Just having some fun today while I relax. But thank you to fsymbol.com for having this ASCII art. Couldn't do it without you. But anybody that likes Hawkeye Gough, you might just like this little setup here. I'm not always prone to doing build videos, more so just come up with funny examples so you can have your mind go wild and see what you do with the mechanics in the game, right? But of course, today we're going to answer some patch 8 questions. It's thanks to you guys I have the patch 8 stress test, so I'm paying it forward, answering your questions, and I actually get a lot out of it like this, right? So why do this? Well, maybe we'll give you a solid answer, but otherwise I'll show you how to make a big arcane archer. Alright, so patch 8 answers. Let's get into some of them real quick. These are subject to change. I know these are answers now, but hopefully they stay solid answers. But then again, top left, patch 8 stress test. While this is the current version, it's prone to change. There's updates, right? But let's just get into the questions then. I actually have a double whammy here about the mantle from the new Glamour Bard. So we'll just start playing some clips, kind of giving you some answers, going over some questions, right? So the mantle does come with a lot of questions. Let's pause this for a second. RPG's asking, can mantle be twin cast? And then I have Shaitanimo. He's actually asking, can use the other meta magics as well? So meta magic question for the new Glamour Bard feature. Whoopsie. Come back. Come back. Come back. There you go. Okay, don't run away. These questions aren't that frightening. In fact, we can answer them right now. So I'm going to slide these back. With the new Glamour Bard, for those who haven't been keeping up, you get this very powerful ability called Mom, or Mantle of Majesty Command. Command it's unlike the normal command spell. It affects just about everything. And of course, you would ask, well, is it a spell then? Can I meta magic it? And it just seems like, nope, not exactly. I'm going to get into battle. I'm going to see if possibly we can do that. Here we go. And as you can see, even in battle, nothing lights up. I'm going to go ahead and use my bonus action, make him grovel, but I can't twin cast it. I can't, well, there's no point in quicken cast it. I don't even take that. I can't extend the duration to 2 turns. That would be pretty crazy, right? And I can't even raise the chances of getting it to work with a higher spell save DC with disadvantage, with heightened magic. So it seems like there really isn't any way to do it. And I also figured I'd throw in the question from myself, hey, now that I'm testing this real quick, can I possibly use it while under silence? Since the meta magics don't seem to work, is it actually considered a spell? I don't even know if you can counterspell this thing. I think you can, but here, check it out. I'm going to silence myself. Okay. And it appears it is a spell. I can't cast it now, or at least I can't say words to cast it. So it's weird. It's a spell and it's not a spell, but this is kind of par for the course with some of the new unique abilities. But I figured I'd answer both of your questions, and all meta magic doesn't seem to work with it, and it can actually be silenced, so interesting interactions there. But thank you guys for the questions. It helps me out if I'm going to plan on using the mantle, how I can avoid being silenced maybe, or avoid trying to build for meta magics or whatnot. Now let's go on to the next question from Crow. Let me pull up this next video, little clip here. He asked a few questions about the Booming Blade, so I'll pull this up, pause it for a second. First, does Booming Blade work with the Tempest knockback from Tempest Cleric? And second, does Booming Blade, can it be silenced and can it be counterspelled? I know it can't be counterspelled, and you'll probably see why, because it's not necessarily strictly a spell, even though it's a cantrip. It's more akin to a smite, you attack with your weapon, but I'll show you anyway. I can't really set up counter spells too reliably, so instead I'll show you if it can be silenced and how the effects are there. Now, as for Tempest Cleric, I can get this in a variety of ways. I am a pure cleric, or Tempest Cleric, so you'll see Shadow Art here, does the reaction, doesn't get knocked back. I don't know, there's not always a consistent reaction to this, but just wait in a moment. Basically, I can get Booming Blade as any class, any character, as long as I'm an elf. I can get it as a racial, high elf or high half elf, or I could just get it in the Magic Wizard Initiate feat from level 4. You pick a feat, get Magic Initiate. I love that Cuthbert just took a jump and died from Booming Blade, by the way. Okay, anyway. Silliness aside, now you'll see we're going to go ahead and slap this guy with a regular Tempest attack. At level 8, you do get your Divine Strike Tempest. So thunder damage makes anybody get knocked back. It's a little feature with the Tempest Cleric, right? So then does Booming Blade also count as like thunder damage so you can push him back? And yes, you can. Or at least, you know, maybe the next strike will. Come on, Shadowheart. Land your hit. You're not even using Great Weapon Master yet. Alright. And here we go. So I'm going to use Booming Blade, since we know we are knocking things back, and he dies. Mid-flight, it asked me for a reaction, but he does go flying. So Booming Blade does indeed work with the knockback of Tempest Cleric, alright? We'll knock him all the way... Oh my god! But he did have another question. Crow was asking, the other question was, does Booming Blade, can it be silenced? Can it be counterspelled? Like I said, it actually can't be counterspelled from what I've tested. It's very hard to kind of prove it. It's just in the numerous playthroughs now. Just isn't being counterspelled by any enemies if I take the cards out, but I can't really force them to make reactions per se unless you know a better way. But let's talk about silence, and it might explain why it can't be counterspelled. Because when we're in the silence, right, if I get another action, like from, you know, Speed Potion, yeah, I can cast it no problem, even though I'm being silenced right now. All my other cantrips won't let me use my stuff. But remember, silence does create thunder immunity, so while you can cast this, you won't get the bonus thunder damage, but you can still do whatever you want to do with the Booming Blade in a silence. So it's pretty interesting reactions there, or interactions right there, so I really appreciate Crow asking that. So we'll move on. So it turns out, yeah, Booming Blade does work with Tempest, and it does work while silence. It can't be counterspelled for my testings. And we'll go on to the next question from CVE real quick. He's asking about Half-orc. Now, I kind of tested this. This is really the best way I could test this. I'll pause it for a second. Does Strength of the Grave from Shadow Sorcerer stack with Half-orc's Relentless Endurance? Basically, they both act on a way that if you lose all your HP, you won't get downed, you'll just recover with 1 HP. So can you get it twice? Do they stack? Do you get 2 HP? How does it work? I just took a level 1 hireling, Half-orc. I have both level 1 Shadow Sorcerer, so you get Strength from the Grave, and I am a Half-orc, so you can see that I have the passives here. Something nice is you do upgrade your Dark Vision from a Half-orc to Superior Dark Vision. But yeah, check it out. Do these stack? Will I get 2 HP? Will I be able to get down twice? Or do they just kind of like override each other and only one works? So I'm level 1. It's going to be really easy to hit me and knock me out, right? So I get hit and I'm right back up. Okay, so there we go. At least once worked, and then I died. So I didn't exactly recover twice, but, you know, of course, at least with the Shadow Sorcerer or the Orc, whichever one's coming first, it's kind of goofy to test, but no, they don't exactly seem to stack in any significant way. If they are stacking, I'm not really seeing anything too great about it. At least not what we were both expecting, which is like maybe the double revive, just in case you got knocked out and get knocked out again, you're good to go. Okay, so let's move on to Alucard. 2 questions again here, and this one's really interesting because, again, I'm a Hexblade enthusiast. I love Warlocks, so let's see what we got here going on. Alright, 2 questions, real quick, pause it for a second. Basically, the Hexblade curse heals you if you kill somebody while they have it. You kill them, you heal based on your Warlock level, your Charisma level, right? But also, the Spectres you get at level 6 as a Hexblade when you kill anybody with a curse, they use a reaction point, and so if we got 2 reaction points with the legendary Duelist Prerogative, could we actually make 2 Spectres? So 2 questions here. Okay, so you'll actually see here, I have everybody kind of set up in a battle here, and I do have healing effects like Whispering Promise and Broodmother, like Alucard was kind of like mentioning. So if you heal, will these effects trigger from the heal from killing with the Hexblade curse? And also, if you had somehow 2 reactions, could you actually in one turn get a Spectre up? So I kill this guy, he's got a Spectre, right? Now, Duel's Prerogative gives you a whole nother reaction point, so I'm going to go ahead and force a Hexblade curse on this guy. I'm going to kill him, and I'm able to make another Spectre in one turn thanks to the 2 reaction points. And if you see on the bottom left, I actually have Whispering Promises Bless, and my weapon is poison, which means that heal from kill does actually trigger healing effects. It's a proper real heal that can trigger stuff. So those are really great questions. Smaller details, yes, but like those could actually go someone really crazy. And I've actually made a video about making and like a proper necromancer from a warlock with the changes. Like now that Hexblade kind of has a little bit of an undead necromancer feel to it, you can make a proper necromancer with a little trick using 1 level of wizard and 1 elixir and the animate dead scroll. And now I really want to try that with this double reaction zombie thing. Like that's kind of crazy. So good question there too. And then now we're going to lead into today's like main subject here, because I have one last question. Basically, Squeezy Monster is asking about these elemental pieces of gear. Do they synergize with the elemental cleaver from the new giant barbarian? So I can answer this just before we hop into the main subject, but unfortunately, they don't really do anything. You'll see in a moment, but just keep in mind, while we're doing the example, he's talking about these elemental pieces of gear, but they all literally say spell or cantrip damage, and the elemental cleaver isn't considered any kind of cantrip or spell damage or anything like that. It's kind of funny because I'm also going to do technically spell damage with the piercing arrow. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to answer your question. The long and short is no, none of these really work. I'll have the pieces of the boots on just to kind of show you. Now, what are we talking about today? Oh, right. We're talking about a really, really big archer. So let's actually get this set up for you. What's funny is when I reload the game, you don't actually see the size difference. So I have to pop a whole nother elixir. Kind of lame, because if you're going to play this Larian, you know, kind of maybe fix the little size thing that happens on reload. But anyway, small gripe. So we did already have an elixir. I'd have to pop another one to actually show you visually that I'm very large right now. I am taller than Cuthbert by a large degree, almost 50% more large, right? And of course, what we're going to do is get in trouble and go within the Enrage with the new Path of the Giant. We can get even larger because they do stack like that. And we're going to add a lot of fire damage and try and use Piercing Arrow with the Arcane Archer mix, right? So why would you do this? Why do you ask questions like this? Here, I'll try and explain. With the new Arcane Archer, it does work. These arrows actually work with while you're in rage. So I did want to point out something fun, a little cute example for today, where you can actually use Arcane Archer shots with your enrage, no matter what barbarian you went with. Okay, Cleaver, go figure. I say go figure, but you guys knew better than I did to test this. So Elemental Cleaver, it's a free action. You can do this as many times as you want. But Elemental Cleaver, you can change your weapon's element, add a little additional element damage to it. You can use it on ranged weapons, like the Deadshot here. So you can be an enraged archer and get some elemental damage on there. Why did I not think of that? It was right under my nose. Once again, chat, I love you guys. All right, Piercing needs some love too. We're trying in the the quest to make this good, since Sharpshooter and Titan String doesn't work on it, and a lot of other riders don't really work on it. We're going to try and add a lot of fire damage to this and see if it does a lot of damage. What will the results be? I don't know. So I just do stupid stuff. You know that. It's all in the sake of let's see what we can do with the mechanics. Can we find something crazy? Chat comes up with better ideas than I do, and I just stick them together for entertainment, right? So, also, you don't like Hawkeye Gough from Dark Souls 1? Are you kidding me? Yeah, right. So, for all those Hawkeye Gough fans, we have a very big archer. Are you ready? What we're going to do is naturally get into some combat. Go ahead right here. We'll just, like, shoot and bow. It's fine. Piss everybody off. There we go. Much better. Okay. And blast. Ah! Okay. So, like I said, we are pretty large from the Elixir of Colossus. There is a reason for taking this. We're going to get even larger. And so again, as a size comparison, I'm about almost, if I was standing upright, I think I am twice the size of Cuthbert. Now you might be saying, well, you know, he's right next to you. Well, I would just, you know, Boot of the Giants him out of here. So that's pretty fun too. But of course, we're going to Elemental Cleaver my bow. There we go. Okay, and now this thing has a lot of fire damage, right? Karlach's little special ability. We have the Drake Throat, we have the Helldust Gloves, and now we have the Cleaver. And does it work? Boom! So, as you are enraged, you can actually use Arcane Shot. It does the Colossus elixir damage, it does the additional spell damage that comes with Arcane Shot, and it does all this fire damage riding on top of it. And it says it uses Sharpshooter, but it doesn't. We've tested this before, but still, just cleared out. You know, if you had 3 or more enemies, that's actually a really big deal, okay? But, of course, you are a really big archer. You can shoot anybody with some pretty big damage. 65 health, just went down below half HP. And as a fighter, you can action surge and start shooting everybody. And I'll tell you another fun thing is you can actually use bursting arrow, right? There's nobody around this guy, but whatever. Maybe somebody will come defend the chickens. There we go. So you can do pretty crazy damage like this. And I'll actually pull back the notes so you can see some of the damage numbers. It's kind of silly. It's kind of ridiculous. It's not the best archer, and you're probably laughing at me because you're like, Garson, the whole point of Giant is to throw things at people. Yeah, well, whatever. I do stupid stuff. All right, check it out. Let me pull back the notes so we look at the numbers here just for fun. Okay, so with that piercing shot all the way back up here, you're going to see that I have a very reliable DC from the gear I'm using and from fire acuity and some decent intelligence. Like I said, I did coverage on Arcane Archer. I love it. I just wish the devs would show you how to actually properly set up your DC save. I know what I'm doing, maybe you don't, so I can set this up like easily. You ain't beating me, right? So I'm always doing full damage with piercing damage, which means I'm getting a shot to land. It's going to add all this fire damage and this extra piercing damage. So we have that going for us. And you can see that I have the weapon damage. This is the Deadshot bow, 1d8, right? I get a little 2 additional damage in there, probably from rage. I believe it's from rage, even though it doesn't say that. 5 dexterity damage. You get the 1d6 piercing, which is from the piercing shot spell, and then, because it is technically a spell, it's all spell save DC, has nothing to really do with my dexterity on accuracy. It has a little bonus damage from it though. And then 1d4 piercing. All right, so that's the elixir of Colossus. It even tells us. That's pretty cool. What about the fire damage though? Did we get all of the fire damage to ride on the piercing shot? Hell yeah. So the dead shot, it has a little Drake throat elixir, and then we have a little the cleaver damage, 1d6 fire. Then we have the infernal gloves, the Helldust gloves, and then we actually have Karlach's special ability when she enrage after using a soul coin. So we have all the damage on there. So again, if you had a stack of maybe 3 or more, it's absolutely worth it to use one of these, and then this would come back on short rest anyway. So you have 4 shots per combat just for being like a basic arcane archer, as long as you know how to raise your spell save DC, and then just the ridiculousness of being a gigantic guy shooting arrows that should reasonably blast everybody away, right? So, see, it makes sense! And then you could kick them with your bonus action, because that's also getting Tavern Brawler and some, well, I don't know if I have Tavern Brawler, but whatever. You know what I meant. It's got some bonus damage in there. Let me pull back the notes. We'll just go over how I accomplished this. Again, this is really just fun, just to kind of show you what silliness you can kind of combine and come up with, because I like running stuff like this in honor mode, and I may very well do it. So again, it's Cleaver. Cleaver being the new ability you can use with Elemental Cleaver, Path of the Giants. You have to get to level 6, so keep that in mind. But it does work on range, because of course it does. Why do I never think and assume this stuff? Thanks, guys. I appreciate it, genuinely. I just don't figure it out. And then on stream, they're like, wait, can you use it on the bow? And I'm like, why would you do that? Wait a minute. Yeah, you can use it on the bow. What the Alright, so level 4 fighter, Arcane Archer. That's going to get you, like I said, you get 4 arcane shots. They come back on art rest. The thing I love about Arcane Archer is technically you have spells on your bow and arrow shots. It is literally a spell bow. But I think what needs a little bit of love, maybe even the devs, while there's still time for feedback, maybe we could find some better ways to beef this up. Maybe we haven't found the ultimate combo, but ultimately, don't tell me I have sharpshooter damage when I don't. I don't know if that's a bug. I don't know if it's intended or not, but yeah. Feedback aside, you need Arcane Archer to get the piercing shot at level 3, and then it works with Enraged because, well, it's not technically a spell, which I find really cool, and I wanted to show that off to you guys. The Titan String, for those who are wondering, we've shown this before, but it does not work, so don't go thinking you can make like a strength build with the Titan String bow and it'll affect piercing, but you could use this in general if you want to use the Titan String bow for its strength modifier bonus on a really big giant. Yeah, I mean, it only fits the character. I'm just showing you more mechanically a different example. And intelligence, it is preferred that you spec into this because this would be +3 spell accuracy, so to speak. That's the simplest way to make it. Intelligence does affect your arcane arrow shots, even if you multi-class. We've covered it, we've tested it, so just keep that in mind. Sharpshooter is going to be a really good option for you if you go into like any kind of bow build, right? So hold on, my mouse is being a little goofy. Okay, so yeah, sharpshooter for normal shots, because you're not always going to be blowing through your piercing arrows. If you did that, you probably wouldn't be using them very, optimally. So you might as well get some really good damage when you're in rage. This goes up by a decent bit with the extra fire damage, and so on and so forth. Colossus Elixir actually does add more damage, not just to your shot, but to piercing damage. Confirmed. It's pretty awesome. So yeah, that's actually pretty cool. Karlach Soul Coins also does add more damage, not just to the regular shots when enraged, but of course the piercing damage when enraged. The Helldust Gloves. Okay, so also I was talking about down here with Karlach's stuff, the Infernal Fury. And then we have right here the Helldust Gloves. So this adds not only some 1d6 damage to your weapon attacks, but it also adds you some spell save DC. So of course, we can't actually see what our spell save DC is. Please fix, Larian, LOL. But yeah. We do have the Drake Throat Glaive because we infuse the weapon with some fire damage. Hold on. There we go. So you can see on here it was infused with an elemental enchantment from Drake Throat. And then, of course, we have the Fire Acuity. Now, this is really all you really needed, because you could just shoot a bunch of regular shots that have some fire damage, and this would carry you when it comes to getting the spell save DC accuracy, so to speak, for your piercing shot, okay? And then, Fire Acuity is just kind of silly. Acuity in general is crazy. And if you can get it, Rhapsody is just one of the best weapons for sets like this, or just if you can stuff it in, you should stuff it in. It adds spell save DC, it adds attack damage, it adds attack rolls, it adds everything to everything. It even adds, it's like the only thing that adds damage to bursting arrow. And please don't believe the lie here. The only thing that's going to burst in the area and do some extra damage is force damage. Just took it just to test it while I was doing this anyway. But yeah, this is what you want to be blasting off if you want to add all these numbers into a big fat line and feel like Hawkeye Gough and shoot like a massive arrow that pierces through the walls of like dragons, everything, right? So it's fun. We'll see if we can make it stronger, or maybe you can riff off of that. But yeah, I just wanted to share that with you. I usually say, how do you level up and play these builds? Well, come watch the stream. Right now, I've been a little pinched, if you know what I mean. And so I'll be trying to get back into the streams recently. I couldn't stream yet, but I like to do the streams because it's like a 1-2 punch. I come in here, show you some cool ideas, and then we'll actually take them out of the test bed and stop killing Cuthbert and Aronson, give them a break a little bit, and we'll go actually play it in the game in honor mode, so that you can either get your first golden dice, or you can just go back and be like, wow, this game is like, has rich, crazy amount of like variety and craziness, and I can just build a whole new team and forget all the optimal stuff. I just want to play some crazy stuff, and I have a lot of fun because of that. And I think if I shared that with you and showed you how to do it, you'd have a lot of fun with this game's best mode, in my opinion. All right, so thank you guys for the questions. Keep throwing them my way. I'm going to keep researching thanks to you, and keep finding cool stuff, because in chat or just from the comments and videos, I keep finding some crazy stuff, and it's really some of the most entertaining things about replaying this game, testing it out in the wild, right? So our sponsor, of course, it's you. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, that's really the best support. If you want to go further beyond, there is membership support on YouTube, and I thank you for that. It's as low as it's going to be, just because I just want to say thank you. So thank you guys. I appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next one, or maybe I'll see you on stream. Take it easy.